After you have entered the information in this part of the chart about your carbohydrates, your protein, your fat, and your calories, you're now ready to go down to the next part, which is entering information in this chart. You have to calculate your percentage of calories from carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So the first thing you need to do is take your information from your grams of carbohydrate and enter it in the space provided. Let's pretend that my grams of carbohydrate are 130 grams. I now multiply that by 4 and my calories of the carbohydrate consumed are 520. Now I'm going to divide it by the total calories consumed, and I'm going to pretend that I consumed 1,800 calories. So 520 divided by 1,800 times 100, and my answer is 28.9%, and I enter in my information. You continue to do that with your grams of protein, your grams of fat, and if you consumed any alcohol, the grams of alcohol. Continue to do it with each of these and fill out the information in the chart. Do not forget to add the percentages of all of your carbohydrates, your proteins, your fat, and your alcohol. Total up your percentages here in this last column. If you're wondering where you find the grams of alcohol, again, you have to go back to the reports. Click on the intake versus goals report. And you're going to scroll down to where it says Other. And if you had any alcohol, then it'll be recorded in grams here. Now, after you enter the information in this chart, you're going to enter your percent of macronutrients consumed that were in this column over to the spaces in this chart. These are the recommended levels. Now put in what your percentage of the macronutrients consumed were in the spaces provided here. After you fill out your macronutrients percentage consumed in these spaces here, go back to the Diet Analysis Plus, click on the Reports tab, click on your Intake versus Goals if you do not have it already open. Open up your report, and you're going to use this information here from this report because the next session asks what nutrients were below 90% and what nutrients or calories were above the recommendation, which is 110%. So go back to your Intake versus Goals report, look on your report and see what macronutrients or calories that you consumed were below the 90%. Whether it was your fats, your essential fatty acids, your fiber, your sugar, your water, any of your vitamins, or minerals. If you had any that were below the 90%, you're going to enter it in these spaces here provided. List all the nutrients and calories that were below the 90% recommendation in these spaces provided. Now go back to the intake versus goals report and see if you had any nutrients or calories that were above the 110% recommendation. So scroll on down and see if you had any calories or fats or essential fatty acids, any fiber or sugar, any vitamins or minerals that were above the 110% recommendation, and then you're going to go back and enter it in the spaces provided. After you've entered that information in the spaces provided, you need to tell me, what do you think is the reason for these values being below the 90%, or what is the reason for these values being above the 110%? If you need more room, then please go ahead and enter it in the space below here until you have answered everything thoroughly. After you have filled out the information in this chart, you need to answer the last question, which is, what information on this report or on this table here most surprised you? Was there anything on the report of the intake versus goals that surprised you? Whether there was or was not, you need to tell me why. Again, if you need more space, fill it in the space here provided. If you have already submitted your energy balance report and your intake versus goals report on the Diet Analysis website, you do not need to copy and paste your reports like the directions tell you right here. However, you do need to submit this file with the same answers that you filled out and the questions back on Blackboard. So you have to go back on Blackboard, scroll down to where it says Nutrition Project 2, open it up, scroll down to where it says Assignment Materials. You're going to attach the file. You've got to first browse your computer, and if you saved it on your desktop or documents or whatever, and attach your file right here. And last but not least, do not forget to hit the button Submit. So this concludes the steps that you need to do to finish your part 2 of your diet project. If you get confused along the way, you can always email me, but hopefully these 2 videos that I have provided for you on how to do your diet project will answer any questions that you may have had along the way.